sense of anticipation?
Oh, absolutely. The anticipation is unbelievable. It's hard to contain.
One might even say excitement.
That's a bit too much. That's too much.
How about starting camp with more new players than you've ever had in your
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun just to think about new bodies, new blood in the gym. But just not just the players, the staff. I don't know half the names of the new staff we've hired in the film room and the interns and management and all that kind of thing. So a lot of people walking around, both players and staff, that will be exciting to see who comes up with what ideas and who plays well and who fits together. So that's exciting. You're right.
One guy is not working around is Tim Duncan as far as
Timmy is he's being fined on a daily basis at $2,500 a day every day that he does not show up.
Does he have an official position with you guys?
Yes. Well, I haven't made up a title yet, but his position is he is the coach of whatever he feels like. That's what he does.
You think he's missing media day?
He just comes in. Media day is something he probably won't join. He's not going to call me and tell me about it for sure. That's not his favorite. But he's going to be around. And as I say, he's going to do whatever he wants. I think he'll start out just checking us all out, seeing how we're doing, and make some suggestions here and there. But we certainly don't want to say goodbye in a real sense to him.
Is there any chance he'd be on the bench at all?
No, he won't be on the bench.
Would you
He's too smart for that.
Would you anticipate he might make some road trips?
Let's just wait and see. I don't want to say what's going to happen or not happen. Just want to let it kind of morph into its own sort of being.
Whether you were joking or not, through the years you always said, when Tim walks out the door, I'll be right behind him.
Right.
If you are, what turns you around?
I made promises to other people, so I got to live by it.
Is there a sense of excitement? Is anything exciting about entering a new phase without Tim?
Did you just get here?
No.
Didn't you just ask that same question? Check with Mikey, and he'll give you his notes.
Does this kind of
Am I right? Pretty much.
Does this kind of
take over now the Olympic program?
I'm sorry. What about it?
Thoughts on as you take over now?
You just want me to start talking about the Olympic program. You stayed up all night to ask me that question so I could stand here and figure out what to say in 30 seconds about the Olympic program. Some things just don't change.
Pop, can you talk about adding Monty Williams and when that ball got rolling, what his role with the team will be?
Yeah, Monty won't be on the bench because we got a million guys there already, and but he'll be a full-fledged coach just like everybody else. He's gone on our coaches retreat with us. He's going to be in every coaches meeting. He's going to travel with us. He's a full-fledged coach. Just no place to put him, so we got to find a seat for him. But to have his counsel here after all his experience and having played here for us is tremendous. I'm just thrilled to have him here. Class act guy and knows his stuff.
Is he also, I would think, maybe a candidate with you on Team USA? Is that
Well, I haven't talked to Mr. Colangelo about coaches or anything like that yet. That's down the road. There's no rush for anything like that.
Hope you lost a lot of corporate knowledge, not just with Tim, but Maddie and Boris. Do you have to simplify things a little bit to start with, your schemes and whatnot?
See, this is a specific question that I can answer. There you go. Okay. You're exactly right. One thing that makes me feel a little bit better with that loss is that Pau Gasol is a very intelligent man, and he understands how to play. He's played for a lot of good people, and that's going to help us in that loss. But having said that, it will take time to get all the new guys to understand exactly how we play and, figure out who goes with whom. But, the intelligent play of Timmy and Boris was important. And Matty didn't play that much, the last year or two, but he was still there on the plane and on the buses, sitting next to LaMarcus and getting him ready and talking to all our players about how we do things. So we'll have to make sure that we do our best to replace that. Yeah, I think you're right. No, I mean, they've always been, with Timmy in that process, but I think they'll pick up more of the slack. I'll look to them to communicate with players more, off the court and on those situations on the bus and on the plane, and to try to make people feel comfortable, because people learn better when they're in a comfortable situation. And so those two guys have to be primarily responsible to make sure we do that.
Is it fair to call them the leaders of this team at some point?
If you want to, you can do that.
Are you going to be looking at Pau to take a leadership role as well?
Well, I'm going to look at Pau to figure out motion offense first. One step at a time.
What about Kawhi in the leadership role? He is really the face of this franchise now, as he was.
Every year, we've seen improvement in Kawhi's communicative skills and coming to us and telling us what he wants and sometimes what he doesn't want. And I think that as time goes on, his communication with teammates will be very, very valuable. And that'll be part of his added responsibility for sure.
Is LaMarcus going to have a lot of added experience, a lot of added responsibility?
Absolutely. LaMarcus and Kawhi, are the main scorers on the team, so to speak. And Kawhi understanding how important he is will be important to us, and I think he knows that. But it was his first year last year, and he deferred, like most other people did, to Timmy for good reason. But now, it's more his team in that sense because he's such a big part of it. So it'll be interesting to see, how his leadership develops.
What's the franchise going to miss most without Tim, in your mind?
Well, I think, as Mike said, I think mostly his corporate knowledge and his ability to establish an environment where everybody feels comfortable. And we've had so many different teams, each championship was basically a team that needed to have all the parts fit together and feel comfortable together, and he allowed that to happen. So I think his personality and his ability to be the same person if we won 10 in a row or lost 4 in a row. He just kept his eyes on the next game, and everybody followed his lead. So that'll be important.
Basketball aside, Coach, there's a lot of things going on socially, police shootings and everything.
Right.
What is your thoughts on what's happening today?
Well, I mean, you're going to have to be a little more specific than that. I got a lot of thoughts, and I hate to give those thoughts in 30 seconds. So when you have a question,
everything that's
let me answer your question if you don't mind. Can I answer your question, please?
Absolutely.
You'll have to give me a chance to do that then. I think it's really dangerous to try to answer such important questions that have confounded so many people for hundreds of years to ask me to give you my solutions as if I had any in 30 seconds. So if you want to be specific about a question, I'll be more than happy to answer it, because I think, race is the elephant in the room in our country. And the social situation that we've all experienced is absolutely disgusting in a lot of ways. And what's really interesting is the people that jump right away to say, one is attacking the police, or the people that jump on the other side. It's a question where understanding and empathy has to trump, no pun intended, has to trump any quick reactions of an ideological or demagogical nature. So it's a topic that can't just be swung at. People have to be very accurate and direct in what they say and do.
Let me ask one specific question. About a year ago about this time, you brought in Dr. John Carlos to speak to your players about the importance of taking the principled stand.
Right.
Can we conjecture that you support those athletes who are now taking stands, football players and WNBA players and so forth?
I absolutely understand why they're doing what they're doing, and I respect their courage for what they've done. The question is whether it'll do any good or not, because it seems that change really seems to happen through political pressure. No matter how you look at it, whether it's Dr. King getting large groups of people together and boycotting buses, and or what's happened in Carolina with the NBA and other organizations pulling events to make it known what's going on. But I think the important thing what Kaepernick and others have done is to keep it in the conversation. When's the last time you heard the name Michael Brown? With our 24/7 news, things seem to drift. We're all trying to just exist and survive, and it's easier for the mass, for the mass of more white people, because we haven't lived that experience. It's difficult for many white people to understand the day-to-day feeling that many black people have to deal with. It's not just a rogue policeman or a policeman exerting too much force or power, when we know that most of the police are trying to do their job, which is very difficult. I'd be scared to death if I was a policeman. I stopped a car. You just don't know what's going to happen. And part of that in our country is exacerbated by the preponderance of guns that other countries don't have to deal with. So it gets very complicated. And at this point, when somebody like Kaepernick brings attention to this, and others who have, it makes people face the issue, because it's too easy for people to let it go because it's not their daily experience. And if it's not your daily experience, you don't understand it. I didn't talk to my kids about how to act in front of the policeman when he gets stopped. I didn't have to do that. But all of my black friends have done that. There's something that's wrong about that. And we all know that. What's the solution? Nobody's figured it out. But for sure, the conversation has to stay fresh. It has to be continuous. It has to be persistent. And we all have a responsibility to make sure that that happens in our communities.
Do you plan on, if any of your players would like to protest, do you plan on talking to them about it or supporting them at all?
My players are engaged citizens who are fully capable of understanding, what their values are, what they think is appropriate and inappropriate, what they feel strongly about, and their whatever actions may or may not be taken are their decisions. And I'm not going to tell anyone ahead of time that if they don't do A, B, and C, they're going to be gone or traded. I think that's ignorant.
Do you agree or disagree with that method of protesting?
I think to each his own. I think it depends on a person's life experience and what they value and how strongly they feel about it. I don't think instant condemnation of any sort of act should happen until it's thought out. For instance, with Kaepernick, a pretty good group of people immediately thought he was disrespecting the military. It had nothing to do with his protest. In fact, he was able to do what he did because of what the military does for us. But most thinking people understand that, but there's always going to be an element that wants to jump on a bandwagon, and that's what's unfortunate about our country. It's gotten to the point where the civility and the level of discourse is basically in the gutter. I saw a wonderful clip on the news the other day with a split screen with Al Gore and George Bush when they were debating, and President Bush was saying something, and the split screen showed Al Gore sigh and shake his head, and the commentator at the time said, "Oh, that rudeness, that's rude. That rudeness isn't going to fly." Compare that to now. It's scary. It's scary. Makes you think a little bit who you're supporting.
You gonna watch the debate tonight?
I am going to have Serbian tacos, beers and Cokes, and I'm watching every second of it.
Do you still up with limited choices for president? Have you ever considered running? It's very popular as a leader in this country. Proving you can win.
Very clever, very clever.
Are you aware there are Popovich?
You all know me. What chances are you think that I would get in trouble real quickly?
Have you seen any Popovich for president bumper stickers? There are.
I have. Very flattering, but misplaced. I'm not smart enough.
You always say to Serbia, were you born in this country?
Can we see a birth certificate?
I was going to bring it, but I lost it.